Chapter 154. The infuriated Princess I Chinger. You're the one who is wrong now. Nancian lowered his eyes and looked at Tan Shuangshuang, who was kneeling in front of him and Feng Ruching. His eyes were calm. Tan Shuangshuang cried even harder now. Her face was wet with tears. Tan Shuangshuang seemed so pitiful and miserable. All the others sympathized with her. State Preceptor, we cannot blame the princess for this. After all, this is indeed Chinger's fault. There was a faintly discerned smile on Nancian's face. Tan Shuangshuang wishes for this. Why don't you grant her wish? Just let her endure the 200 whippings for Lu Yuqin. Chinger is always so kind. You wouldn't refuse this kind of wish? His words sounded so calm and gentle. But Feng Rushuang was stunned. Tan Shuangshuang's heart trembled vigorously. There was fear in her eyes. 300 whippings. That'll definitely kill me. If I'm not dead by then, I will not be able to get down from the bed for the rest of my life. Princess. Lu Yuqin looked at Tan Shuangshuang's pale face. He gritted his teeth and said, I don't need Tan Shuangshuang to endure it for me. Please let her go. Feng Ruching squinted. She smiled softly. Since Tan Shuangshuang loves you deeply, I'll not disregard her wish given that I like to grant people's wishes. But Tan Shuangshuang will not live after 300 whippings. How about this? Give her 150 whippings first. Then, we'll give her the remaining 150 whippings after she recovers after a few days. Tan Shuangshuang's face paled like a sheet of white paper. Her lip trembled, and there was deep fear in her eyes. 150 whippings will put me in bed for a few months. But she just allows me to rest for a few days before giving me another 150 whippings. Even if I survive this, I'll not be able to endure great pain. But it's I who have said those words. I need to endure the consequences. Why are you standing there doing nothing? Go quickly. Feng Ruching glanced at the shopkeeper of the spirit herb shop. The shopkeeper quickly recovered his composure and coughed a few times. Princess, please wait for a while. They'll take Tan Shuangshuang to torture room for the punishment. Princess, you will be satisfied with this result. After that, the shopkeeper signaled to the person next to him. That person quickly recovered and moved forward to grab Tan Shuangshuang. Tan Shuangshuang was indeed anxious. She quickly held out her hand. She wanted to hold onto Lu Yuqin's hand. Her face was pale. She even babbled hysterically. Yuqin, save me. Yuqin, come and save me. Shuanger. Lu Yuqin's eyes were swollen and red. He was about to hold Tan Shuangshuang's hand. Suddenly, Qin Shen stood in front of him and stopped him. No, you can't treat her like this. She's innocent. I'm the one who has made all the mistakes. Princess, please let her go. I beg you. Please let her go. Lu Yuqin turned and kneeled down in front of Feng Ruching. His voice was trembling. There were both anger and pain in his eyes. The feeling of watching the woman he loved being dragged away for punishment made Lu Yuqin feel utterly helpless. Feng Ruching lowered her eyes and scanned Lu Yuqin. Of course, you can protect Tan Shuangshuang. Then, we'll return 100 whippings to Lady Lu. How about that? Yuqin. Lady Liu's expression changed drastically. She held onto Lu Yuqin's sleeve nervously. There was great pain in her eyes. Do you want me to be whipped? Lu Yuqin's body froze at this. He closed his eyes slowly. Chapter 155. The infuriated princess' too loyalty and filial piety could never be catered to at the same time. It was the same with one's mother and lover. So, Lu Yuqin decided to give Tan Shuangshuang up in the end. The man released his tightly clenched hands and sat down on the floor weakly. He just sat with his back to Tan Shuangshuang. He never even looked at her once up until now. In the end, he had still let her down. I'm sorry. Tan Shuangshuang looked at Lu Yuqin blankly. Lu Yuqin did not make any response. She was not crying anymore now. She just let other people drag her down. There was helplessness and despair in her heart now. The look she gave Lu Yuqin was of grief and despair. Feng Ruching, are you satisfied now? After a while, Lu Yuqin sneered and stood up. His face was pale, and there was a scornful sneer on his face. Now, Shuanger has a deep misunderstanding toward me just like you hoped for. I have even thought that you've changed. He even thought that he could marry the princess and bring her home if she was not that wicked and evil, provided that she did not make any more trouble. But the princess now was no longer the woman that he knew before. Chain her. Throw him out. I don't want him standing there. It's disgusting. Lu Yuchen smiled coldly. You don't have to throw me out. They'll leave myself. They'll give you one advice. Even if you're the princess of Lu Yun Kingdom, all the ministers of Lu Yun Kingdom have long been dissatisfied with you for a long time. Now, you are treating Shuang like this. Have you never considered the consequences to His Majesty? I, Feng Ruqing, can endure any consequences. It was impossible to wrong Feng Ruqing. She was willing to let the others think badly of her rather than being treated unfairly. Nanxian smiled faintly. His smile was so soft that it was almost indiscernible. Qinger, you can just go ahead with what you want to do. Nobody can stop you in this world. You don't have to be scared. The voice of the man was loud and clear. It was stamped hard on Feng Ruqing's heart. There was a flutter in Feng Ruqing's heart. She knew that all the words said by the state preceptor were meant for Lu Yuchen. But his voice was so melodious and gentle that she could not help but feel touched by it. Lu Yuchen glanced at Feng Ruqing and Nanxian coldly. He clenched his fists tightly. Finally, he left without looking back. He did not realize that Nanxian had turned and looked at him as he was leaving the scene. Nanxian's calm eyes were filled with a mix of light irony and coldness. At that moment, the shopkeeper of the spirit herb shop went and called for Elder Ling. Elder Ling looked at the token first, then he turned his respectful eyes upon Feng Ruqing. Princess, you are here at Paramount today. Do you need anything? I want you to look for a few spirit herbs for me. Feng Ruqing held out her hand and handed a prescription of spirit herbs to Elder Ling. Elder Ling, please collect these spirit herbs for me. Elder Ling was shocked. He took the prescription and was silent for a while. These spirit herbs are grade 3 spirit herbs. Paramount does have those. But this wisteria vine, it's a little difficult. Feng Ruqing could clearly feel Fu Chen's excitement, who was in the medium, after hearing about the grade 3 spirit herbs. It seemed that Fu Chen had almost lost control. Chapter 156. The infuriated Princess 3. Feng Ruqing ignored him and asked, how long will it take for you to get the wisteria vine? Wisteria vine grows in harsh conditions, and it takes at least 2 to 3 months to get them. But don't worry, Princess, you have our Paramount token. They'll find it for you no matter what. Okay. Feng Ruqing muttered before saying, bring me the other spirit herbs first. Please wait for a moment, Princess. I'll go get it right now. Feng Ruqing had beaten Tan Shuang up in the spirit herb shop. It took only a while before the news spread like wildfire. At the same time, the imperial court was in total chaos. Feng Tianyu looked down at the mad Tan Lin while rubbing the temples of his aching head. Grand Tutor Tan, I believe there's a reason why Qinger beat Tan Shuang in public. Grand Tutor Tan turned livid with rage. Your Majesty, what the princess has done throughout all these years is well known. Is there anything that she can't do? That day, she had already whipped Shuanger until she was black and blue, and now she has ordered someone to give her 300 strokes. It's 300 strokes, not 30 strokes. My daughter's weak. How can she bear with this kind of torture? Tan Lin wept bitterly. He couldn't help feeling sorry for his daughter. He hated Feng Ruqing's cruelty and also Lu Yuchen for not being able to protect his daughter, allowing his daughter to suffer such agony. Feng Tianyu frowned and scolded, Grand Tutor Tan, why then did I hear that it was Tan Shuang who provoked Qinger first? This is sheer nonsense. Tan Lin was enraged and retorted, how can I not know my daughter Shuanga? She's gentle, kind, and has never started a quarrel. It's always Princess who would not let go of her. The princess has even chased her into Paramount Spirit Herb's shop to beat her up. Your Majesty, if you still refuse to punish the princess, it will certainly disappoint us, the people and the world. Feng Tianyu sunk into deep thought. All of a sudden, he thumped the table angrily with his palm and scolded, how dare you, Tan Lin, criticize Qinger? No matter what Qinger has done, it's none of anyone's business. Although Feng Tianyu was already in a great rage, Tan Lin seemed to have consumed leopard bile to be so emboldened, or perhaps her was really frustrated as he simply stood his ground and said coldly, "Your Majesty is once again pampering her even though she's bullying my daughter. Or is your Majesty really hoping for everyone to feel disappointed?" As Tan Lin stood up, another civilian court officer came forth from among the public, pumped his fist and said, "Your Majesty, the princess has already gone too far. I beg your Majesty to punish the princess severely as a warning to others. When the prince violates the law, the crime he commits is the same as that of the common people, so does a princess. The prince's deeds have been overwhelming. If your Majesty does not want to punish the princess, we will resign and return to our homeland, as our children, and we could refrain ourselves from worrying about being beaten to death by the princess." "I second that. I second that as well." Looking at those officers coming forth one by one, Tan Lin's lip seemed to lift into a vague smirk. As an emperor, Feng Ruqing should be considerate of his people. If he were to lose that many officers, Lu Yun Kingdom would be an empty shell eventually. Since he could not pressure the emperor alone, pressuring him with these people would surely work better. It didn't matter if he was the emperor, unless he was willing to give up the whole world for the princess. Grand Tutor Tan, Censor Lin frowned, stood up and said, "I believe that the princess is not the old princess anymore. There's a reason why she's doing this now. We should look deeper into this before jumping to any conclusions." Chapter 157. The infuriated princess. For Tan Lin's face turned stiff as he stared at Censor Lin angrily. Censor Lin's daughter, Lin Yueying, was a victim of Feng Ruqing's bullying as well. Had the sun risen in the west now as Censor Lin had stood up to defend her? "I agree with Censor Lin," said Inspector General Mu, coldly, as he too stepped out of his line and glanced at Tan Lin. Qinger had told him before that it was the princess who had provided the scar-fading herbal cuisine. If the princess possessed such ability and had changed, they might as well put the past behind them so that Lu Yun Kingdom would not lose a genius. "Your Majesty," as Nailan Zhangqian was trying to remember all the people who had agreed with Tan Lin, he stepped out of his line and sneered, "These are all useless civil servants. If they wish to leave, let them pack their blankets and scram. Our Lu Yun Kingdom does not need such incompetent people." "General Nailan." Tan Lin's face turned blue as he said, "Lu Yun Kingdom has no empress right now, and the Nailan family has lost Nailan Yin. How does your Majesty still manage to hold up the whole Lu Yun Kingdom? Do you think your Majesty can deal with your enemy without our advice when they come, and your Majesty is not strong enough?" This world worshipped the military. Also, the person who contributed the ideas played a vital role. Lu Yun Kingdom had Empress Nailan in the past where the kingdom feared no other powerful country. Now that Nailan Yin had passed away, and the old general was not in good condition, leaving only Nailan Zhangqian, what could he do? The palace. Outside the southern bamboo grove, Nancian stopped and turned around. Just like the gentleness of moonlight, his eyes calmly fell upon the girl in front. "Princess, would you come with me and take a seat inside?" Feng Ruqing really wanted to be with Nancian, but she rarely had a chance to visit the palace. So it was obvious that she wanted to visit her father. Therefore, she shook her head and said, "State Preceptor, I can only send you this far. I'll come back to you soon." It was apparent that this girl had insisted to follow him back to the southern bamboo grove. Now, it had appeared that Feng Ruqing was only sending him back to the southern bamboo grove. However, Nancian did not intend to blow her cover. He raised his hands and caressed Feng Ruqing's head. "Just now at Paramount, what I had said to Lu Yuchen was not deliberate. It was all true." "What?" Feng Ruqing blinked, dumbfounded, as she did not get what Nancian was trying to say. It was not until when Nancian turned himself around that she suddenly realized that the crescent-colored robe had vanished from her view. He said there was nothing in this world that could ever stop her. He would let her do as she wished. Such a sentence was not only intended to provoke Lu Yuchen, but he also meant it. Feng Ruqing felt warm inside, and it felt good to be protected by someone. "Princess." As Feng Ruqing turned around, a figure staggered forward and nearly fell in front of Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing took a few steps back in surprise. She could now clearly see the eunuch who had rushed forward. "Eunuch Lu, why are you so flustered?" Eunuch Lu seemed anxious. Princess, something terrible's happening. Everyone knows that you have beaten Tan Shuang up, and Tan Lin is putting His Majesty in a conflict with a lot of officers, forcing His Majesty to punish you. Feng Rooking's face was immediately filled with blazing fury. Eunuch Lu, I need to ask you for a favor. What about you, Princess? I will first go to Tangzi. Go to the Princess Manor, and let the Snow Wolf bring all the spirit beasts to me. They'll make him regret not bringing his medicine along when he humiliates my father. Chapter 158. Astounding the Imperial Court. Eye in the inner courtyard of the Imperial Palace. In a remote and secluded courtyard, Tangzi was holding a red-tasseled spear. She threw a cold and fierce look down at the girl in front of her who was dressed in a cyan military robe. Your progress has slowed down recently. Although we don't have the Empress to lead us to fight on the battlefield anymore, the Princess' return does not allow you guys to stay relaxed anymore. If I ever catch someone loafing and not practicing next time, you shall be handled according to the military regulations. The women in groups lowered their heads and remained silent. Ling Yun did not dare to make a sound, but only looked at the women helplessly. After all, it was true that these people were wrong in the first place. They had slacked when Tangzi was not around in the courtyard, and she had happened to find out that they were slacking. There was nothing she could do. Suddenly, Ling Yun's eyes lit up as she saw Feng Ruching stepping inside from the courtyard. She hurriedly tugged at Tang Zi's sleeves and said, Commander Tang Zi, Master has arrived. Master? Tang Zi was stunned for a moment. As she turned, she saw an angry Feng Ruching making her way in from the courtyard. Her eyes were slightly dazed. She asked, Master, what happened? Tang Zi, how large is the residual force in the iron-blooded army right now? Feng Rooking's eyes looked slightly sunken as she asked coldly. Tang Zi replied truthfully, To prevent the army from slacking too much, I often send people out to finish some tasks. We have around 40 people present inside the palace now. What do you think of their strength? Feng Ruching continued. Upon hearing this, the corner's Tang Zi's lips raised proudly as she replied, The people in the iron-blooded army have reached true warrior tier while Ling Yun and I have reached advanced true warrior tier. In Lu Yun Kingdom, only 2 people were spirit warriors. One was the Emperor of Lu Yun Kingdom, Feng Tianyu, and the other was the old general, Master Nalen, who had just advanced to spirit warrior tier. However, the news of Master Nalen reaching a higher tier had not been spread yet. Only Feng Tianyu and those 3 aristocratic families knew. Therefore, as an advanced true warrior, Tang Zi did have something to be proud of. Furthermore, anyone in the iron-blooded army had reached true warrior tier. As for the neighboring countries, such an army implied a mighty force, a great power that would make them afraid. Even if Empress Nalen had passed away for years, Lu Yun Kingdom had received no threat of invasion. Fabulous. Feng Ruching smiled slightly and said, Tang Zi, all of you take up your arms and follow me to the Imperial Court. Tang Zi was shocked. Bringing weapons to the Imperial Court? What had jarred the princess? Princess, did something happen at the palace? Feng Ruching smirked and said, It's nothing actually, but a group of old fools is looking for trouble with my father. Today, they'll show them who's the real emperor of Lu Yun Kingdom. In the Imperial Court, Feng Tianyu sat high in the dragon throne. He stared at the 2 quarreling parties coldly as his eyebrows were starting to reveal his impatience. Nalen Zhongqian, how dare you speak to me like that? Your father won't do that to me. Tan Lin's face was blue as he screamed angrily, Ask Master Nalen to come and speak with me if you can. You are still not qualified to talk to me. Nalen Zhongqian smiled mockingly and said, If my dad were here, he wouldn't be speaking to you, but he would immediately throw you out of the court. Chapter 159. Astounding the Imperial Court 2, Nalen Zhongqian. Shut up. Tan Lin roared. The princess must give me an explanation today, or else we will resign and return to our home village, and let's see who's gonna manage the state affairs. Feng Tianyu stared at Tan Lin and the other officers coldly. He balled his fists tightly, blue veins appeared on his temples as he was breathing heavily. His throat started to feel a little weird as a bloody breath was pumped out of his throat, urging him to spit it out to feel better. But he held it back. This is the Imperial Court, and he must not let anyone find out he was not in good condition. Ever. He knew. One Feng Tianyu was enraged as he could not stand it anymore. At that moment, a familiar and crisp voice echoed into the court. Suddenly, peace was restored to the imperial court. Who was the one who insisted for an explanation for me just now? In the quiet imperial court, all the officers turned around and looked toward the court's door. Their eyes searched for something. A girl standing in the morning light. The girl seemed to be sneering as millions of women dressed in cyan robes stood behind her. The officers were surrounded by the women in the blink of an eye. They stood next to the officers as if they were the mountain gods. Is this the iron-blooded army? The servants trembled. Wasn't the princess already on bad terms with the iron-blooded army? How could she still command the people of the iron-blooded army? Tan Lin's mood got worse as he glanced at Tang Zi and the others. His eyes were full of disdain. Look at all this nonsense. The iron-blooded army was still helping Feng Ruching regardless of how she had treated them in the past. If Tan Lin were them, he would definitely coerce Feng Tianyu to punish Feng Ruching with Tan Lin himself. It was 100 times better to uphold Feng Rushuang than to support this crap. But this was not the end yet. As the iron-blooded army entered the imperial court, a wolf's howl shook the world and started to scare everyone inside. How could there be a wolf inside the palace? People, look. Not only is there a wolf, but also an earth bear. That's a tier 3 spirit beast. A gentle courtier went weak at his knees as he saw the spirit beasts rushing forward. He trembled and quickly said, General Naylan, you're the military general. Why are you still not stopping them? Naylan Zhangqian coldly replied, I thought you guys were mocking us that we could only solve the problem by force? Why don't you guys wave the white flag to the beasts by relying on your wisdom? The officials turned pale. Those were spirit beasts. They were inhuman beasts. Any tricks played on them were just like a playhouse. How could it be useful? Unfortunately, at this time, Naylan Zhangqian did not look at them, nor did he stop the troop of spirit beasts, letting those spirit beasts break through the threshold and rush in. But soon, everyone noticed that the spirit beasts were followed by a eunuch? Eunuch Lin? Tan Lin was stunned. Why are you holding a candle to the devil? Are you demanding for an abdication? Eunuch Liu's face turned blue immediately. He was frightened enough after he had gone to the Princess Manor. How dare Tan Lin framed him now in such a manner? Grand Tutor Tan, what do you mean? As a eunuch, I have no posterity, and why should I stage a coup? I brought these spirit beasts along because the princess asked me to do so. As for what purpose, you better ask the princess. Chapter 160. Astounding the imperial court. 3 God knows why he prepared the carriage to pick up these spirit beasts. He thought that the princess would raise the spirit beasts in the cage. How could anyone have known that? These spirit beasts were roaming around freely. He was surrounded by the beasts as soon as he entered the Princess Manor. If it were not for Lu Li, that servant, the spirit beasts would have scared his pants off even though he would not be eaten. On top of that, he saw the purple sable was using its tail to clean the courtyard. Oh, and that 4-armed ape was using a spatula to call on the other spirit beasts to get their meal. Has anyone ever seen a spirit beast cleaning the courtyard? Has anyone ever seen a spirit beast that was capable of cooking? But he saw everything that day. He still could not recover himself from shock even until now. Your Highness, what do you mean? Tan Lin had finally recovered from the astonishment as he turned to Feng Ruching and asked angrily. He had long since heard that Feng Ruching had brought along a horde of spirit beasts when she had returned. But words are wind because seeing is believing. He finally believed in those rumors as now he got to see with his own eyes. Feng Ruching winked at the snow wolf. The snow wolf understood what Feng Ruching's wink meant and asked the 4-armed ape to bring along the chair that it had prepared earlier. The 4-armed ape put the chair behind Feng Ruching. Feng Ruching caressed her long sleeves and gently got into the seat. She leaned her body on the back of the chair while a grin played at the corners of her lips. I thought you were looking for me? I'm here now. Say it out loud if you have anything to say, but you do not have to take advantage of my father. Her hands were on her cheeks. She was not as angry as she was at the beginning, but she glared at Tan Lin arrogantly and coldly. Tan Lin was pale. He was sure that Feng Ruqing did not dare to lay a finger on him, and so he asked with a sneer, "Your Highness, what has Shuang'er done to make you punish her in such way?" "Of course she did something wrong. I was going to shop at the spirit herb shop on my own, but she framed me saying that I was giving her trouble. Father, don't you think that she should be punished for framing me?" Feng Tianyu glanced at Tan Lin and said, "Qing'er is the kingdom's princess. If someone had framed her, it is no difference disrespecting the hierarchy and law. It's right to punish someone like that. Qing'er has done nothing wrong." Tan Lin held his breath for a moment, clenched his jaw and said, "Her Highness' words don't carry conviction. How does your Majesty know that it's not Her Highness who first stirred up trouble?" Feng Ruqing suddenly laughed. "You may visit Paramount and ask if it was her or I who first caused the trouble. Besides, the state preceptor was present as well. Ask him if you were skeptical about it." Tan Lin was terribly shocked. The state preceptor was at the spirit herb shop as well? Why had no one mentioned this to him in the first place? Even so, you should not give her 300 strokes. Tan Lin clenched his teeth and continued. Feng Ruqing burst out laughing. "First of all, she has framed me. It means that the reputation of Lu Yun Kingdom has been affected, and I think 300 strokes is reasonable. Secondly, I'm innately kind, and I couldn't bear to leave her with 300 strokes. However, it is sad to tell you that Lady Lu and Lu Yuqin were present as well, but how could they be rude to me? So, each of them got 100 strokes. Tan Shuangshuang loves Lu Yuqin too much as she insisted on receiving the punishment for them. What could I do?" Tan Lin was shocked again. He subconsciously turned to look at where Chancellor Lu was standing. It was not a big deal for Chancellor Lu to stay quiet when the people were coercing the emperor just now. However, he could have never imagined how Shuang'er had received those 300 strokes. Chapter 161. Astounding the imperial court, for as a man, Lu Yuqin had actually made a girl suffer on his behalf? What gave him the right to do so? Chancellor Lu. Tan Lin was incredibly outraged, and so he asked, "Don't you owe me an explanation?" Chancellor Lu shrugged and replied helplessly, "You heard what the princess said. I can do nothing as she did it on her own accord." "You!" Tan Lin trembled and pointed at Chancellor Lu furiously. He could hardly say a word. Feng Ruqing put her palm to her cheek and gave Tan Lin a scornful look. "If you guys want to deal with this, deal it later. It's my turn to ask questions now." "What?" Tan Lin was stunned and did not understand what Feng Ruqing was trying to say. Feng Ruqing repositioned herself on the chair gently and asked defiantly, "Grand Tutor Tan, did you bring your medicine along today?" Tan Lin held back his anger and replied, "Please cut to the chase, Your Highness. Don't beat around the bush." "Oh, it's nothing actually. If you didn't bring it along, I would call the imperial doctor to prepare some herbs as Tangzi might beat him to death. We should keep you alive anyway. After all, this here is the imperial court. I don't expect a bloody palace, as this might put great public pressure on father." Tan Lin got angrier. Did the princess really want to punish him in public? Feng Ruqing turned and winked at Tangzi. "Quickly, drag him down and strike him till he's dead. Of course, you don't really want him to be dead. It's fine to cripple him, but if he's dead, it will be awful, as this will bring a negative impact to my father." "Yes, master." Tangzi smiled. When the empress was still alive, the civil officers had pissed her off as she had risked all the dangers with her army. These bastards were useless, as they knew nothing but talk nonsense behind her. They even lured the emperor into doting on other concubines. If it were not the deep love of the emperor toward the empress, by resisting all the pressures, the princess would have had a lot of siblings by now. With support from the princess, she felt extra comfortable as she could finally fulfill her past grudge. "Your Highness, what are you doing? All of you let me go." Tan Lin's arms were grabbed, and he was dragged out of the court. He turned his head back and screamed, "Your Majesty, you can't indulge the princess in doing this. At least my efforts deserve credit after all those years of serving at the palace. You can't do this to me." As ministers, they were all spoiled and overprotected at the court. Even if they were capable of doing something, they became physically fragile because they were not gaining any robust experience. How could they bear with the stroke? He knew the iron-blooded's temper well. Even if he could survive, it would leave him in pain for months. Feng Ruqing did not spare a second look at Tan Lin. She simply glanced toward the other ministers. I think I heard that all of you want to resign and go back to your hometown, right? Since all of you miss your hometown, my father will not shove something down your throat as it can be very inhumane. Please speak out if you wish to resign, and I will be in charge and allow you to return to your hometown. The ministers' faces were frozen. All they wanted to do was just put a little pressure on the emperor. The official position was not easy to obtain. How could the ministers really resign? They were just simply saying it. Your Highness, we were just kidding. Yes, it's just a joke. The minister that supported Tan Lin just now forced a laugh and answered. Feng Ruqing shook and replied, No, I can't stop you if you want to return to your hometown. Besides, Lu Yun Kingdom is full of talent. The worst would be having my uncle to work a little more, as he will help father assign new people. No, Your Highness. There's no need to trouble Master Nalen. Master Nalen has a lot of things to be busy with. How can we bother him with these little things? The minister forced a smile and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Chapter 162. Feng Tianyu spat blood. I, Minister Li, there is no war in Lu Yun Kingdom now, and I am barely busy with anything. Furthermore, if we're in a real need to declare war, I can also let Jinger go instead of me. Therefore, I have plenty of time to recruit new talents. Master Nalen gave a brittle laugh. The ministers were helping Tan Lin to coerce the emperor just now, but now, seeing that Tan Lin was dragged out, now everyone was frightened? If they were ambitious enough, why didn't they resign as nobody was in their way? Minister Li's expression turned stiff. He could not fake his smile anymore as his lips suddenly started to twitch. Now, all the ministers realized that this Feng Ruqing was not the old dumb princess anymore. Your Majesty. Minister Li turned and kneeled. He wept bitterly. Tan Lin threatened us to side him in the imperial court. I did not dare to disobey Grand Tutor Tan, and your Majesty, I beg for your mercy. Feng Tianyu stood up from his throne, and he felt a pain in his chest as if something was burning. You dare not disobey Tan Lin, but you dare to coerce me. He smiled coldly. Announce my decree. Tan Lin has openly framed the princess and has brought along people to stage a coup. Put him in jail and wait for the trial. A coup? All the ministers were stumped. Tan Lin had just wanted the emperor to punish the princess. How could it turn out to be a coup? As for the others, Feng Tianyu scanned through the crowd in the court and raised his voice. Since you have responded that these military generals are useless, then I will need you guys to guard the frontier for half a year. During this half year, I will get someone to replace your positions. When you return, it is your ability that decides if you're still capable of being in this position. In the future, all the minister positions will be assigned to those who are capable of it. All these ministers were too spoiled to live at the frontier. Not to mention half a year. Even staying there for only a month could be devastating to them. Please spare us, your Majesty. Thud. With tears in their eyes, the ministers fell to their knees one by one. They could not let go of the luxurious life in the palace and leave to live and guard in a barren place. It seems that you are unwilling to do so. Fine. Please announce my decree. Put them in jail, and we will deal with them again someday. Feng Tianyu waved and said as it was of no concern to him. We will follow your order, your Majesty. We will go to the frontier. They could still keep their positions by obeying the emperor. If it were to be in jail, they could never get their jobs back. Since all my lovely ministers have agreed with me, let's end the morning court. Feng Tianyu looked disapprovingly at the ministers and continued, Master Nalen and Qinger stay. As your Majesty's wish. The officials left the imperial court sorrowfully. Those who were tempted by Tan Lin felt a strong resentment inside. They wanted to tear that bastard into pieces. If it were not for him, they would not have to suffer at the frontier. Chancellor Lu. Outside the courtyard, Minister Li glanced at the delighted Chancellor Lu and said bitterly, Lu Yuchen and Tan Shuangshuang seem to be close as they are constantly together. I would never have expected that Lu Yuchen is just like you. Timid and afraid of things. What a coward! Chancellor Lu was sitting on the fence by staying out of the affairs at first, so he had received no punishment until that day. Well, Tan Lin nearly became his in-law. Chapter 163. Feng Tianyu spat blood too. That's because you people are foolish. Do you really think that the emperor is the same as the old emperor 20 years ago? Stop dreaming of controlling him. And you guys are overthinking. Chancellor Lu smirked and continued. I won't be as stupid as you people. Besides, it was Tan Shuang who had volunteered to receive the punishment on my son's behalf. How is that my son's fault? Humph. Minister Li brushed his long sleeve. His eyes were filled with hatred. Do you think that I'm not aware of your thoughts? Don't you still wish for the princess to be your daughter-in-law, so that you can flaunt among the nobles and climb up to a higher position? Do you really think that the princess would only marry into your family? Chancellor Lu squinted and said, Yu Qin is still young, and he will realize that what I have done now is for his own good in the future. By then, the princess will surely become the Lu family's daughter-in-law. There is no doubt about it. The underlying meaning was this. If Lu Yuqin was willing to change his mind, Feng Ruqing would definitely accept him. Censor Lin, who had just supported Nailin Zhangqian in the court, happened to pass by at that very moment. He couldn't help but shake his head and sigh when he heard Chancellor Liu's words. Chancellor Liu is delusional. Hasn't he noticed that the princess has no affection for Lu Yuqin anymore? Otherwise, how could she show aggression toward him downtown? What a pity that his thought is doomed, never to be realized. In the court, only Nailin Zhangqian, Feng Ruqing, and Feng Tianyu and his personal eunuch, Eunuch Lin, were left. The rest of the officers had already left. Even the spirit beasts and the iron-blooded army were told to leave as well. Zhangqian. Feng Tianyu's expression turned gentle and said calmly, During this half a year, I hope you can recruit some talents that are suited to these positions. Nailin Zhangqian was a little shocked. He said, Does your majesty really want to fire them? He had thought that the emperor was only attempting to frighten the officers. He did not expect that the emperor had really made up his mind on this. They had acted in such a manner, wanting to control me and making decisions since the very beginning. Unfortunately, my father had passed away early, and I was young at that time. I had my limits in fighting against them. I could only let them make waves, but now, he looked down resolutely, I'm not the old me anymore. No one can control me. I have long wanted to demote them. I needed only one reason to do so, and now they have given me the reason. The emperor had no reason not to fire them now. Yes. Nailin Zhangqian's eyes shone brightly. I will dismiss those people who disobey, all of them. No one can coerce your majesty in the future anymore. Feng Tianyu finally smiled, but his throat was pumped with that bloody pressure again. Splat! A mouthful of fresh blood spurted out of his mouth. That handsome face suddenly turned pale. Father! Feng Ruqing was astonished and got pale. She quickly rushed in front of Feng Tianyu and held his staggering body. Father, what happened to you? Why is this happening? Feng Ruqing panicked as her voice trembled. Her eyes glittered with tears as she was clouded with worry. Feng Ruqing did all these simply because the previous owner of this body was gone. She had to apologize for what the previous owner had done. But it wasn't until this moment that she realized that she had already assimilated herself into this body. Whether it was the soul, emotion, flesh, she was all completely occupied by them now. She couldn't ignore her family, nor could she not love these people. Chapter 164. Feng Tianyu spat blood 3 cough. Feng Tianyu lifted his fingers and gently wiped away his little daughter's tears. With a soft smile he said, Don't worry, Qinger, I'm okay. It's an old ailment. It'll be fine after taking some rests. Eunuch Lu couldn't stand it anymore. He walked to Feng Ruqing's side and sighed. Your Highness, since the Empress' death, His Majesty has been mentally and physically exhausted. His Majesty is getting worse year after year. If it wasn't for the princess, His Majesty would probably. Lin Zhenyun, you're crossing the line. Feng Tianyu stood up straight with some difficulty. His eyes were filled with solemnity. You may leave now. Yes, Your Majesty. Eunuch Lin dared not say any more. He swished his hasu, bowed, and left. The Hall of Supreme Harmony quietened down. Feng Tianyu's hands gently caressed the young girl's face. Qinger, I've been hiding from you all the time. Since you're grown up and have become more sensible now, I'll have to let you know that there's something you need to understand. Or else, if I suddenly leave you someday without letting you know first, it will bring you more disadvantages. His voice was soft. His eyes were gentle, and the stern attitude toward the ministers earlier was gone. Feng Rooking's heart skipped a beat. Her eyes looked hard but calm. I'll never let you go. If Feng Ruqing wanted to save someone, no one could take them away from her. Qing'er. Feng Tianyu smiled bitterly. I know my body well more than anyone. Watching how you have confronted those ministers with ease today, I believe that handing over the power to you in the future, you will be capable of handling the situation. Besides, your grandfather and uncle will give you a helping hand, which makes me feel relieved, father. Feng Rooking's voice trembled. There should be a way to cure her father, but she got the message that her father did not want to live any longer simply from his tone. Yes, Feng Tianyu did not want to live anymore. Qing'er, listen to me. Feng Tianyu held Feng Rooking's shoulder tightly, with a serious look and knitted brows. Your mother didn't die of childbirth. In fact, she was killed. Feng Ruqing had already known that long ago, but it was the first time Nalin Zhangqian realized what had happened. His heart trembled as he looked at Feng Tianyu in disbelief. Your Majesty Yen'er, she was killed? How could it be? Yen'er was so strong. How could anyone kill her in the palace? Recalling what had happened 16 years ago, Feng Tianyu slowly closed his eyes, as if in pain. On that fateful day, I wanted to be by her side when she gave birth to you. But someone strong snuck into the palace, and I had to face them myself. By the time I returned, Yen'er was already dead. For this matter, Feng Tianyu had blamed himself for 16 years. If he had not left Yen'er's side, perhaps Yen'er would still be alive. Even when the massacre happened in the palace, he should have stayed by Yen'er's side and not go anywhere nor care for anyone no matter what they would do. He should not have left Yen'er. These were all his fault. Someone strong snuck into the palace? Why is it father and I never knew about this? Nalin Zhangqian slowly closed his eyes. He clenched his fists, his body trembled. He felt a flame burning inside his chest. During that year, the frontier was in turmoil, so he and his father had to guard it and could not return to the palace. Finally, when they returned to the imperial city, they had received news about her death. Chapter 165. Feng Tianyu spat blood for they had always thought that Yen'er had died in childbirth. Now, Nalin Zhangqian came to realize that his younger sister, the sister he had cared for so many years, the sister who had caused heartache to the Nalin family for so many years, was killed by someone evil. Nalin Zhangqian turned pale. He felt as there was an infinite pain spreading from inside him, making it difficult for him to breathe. I did find some evidence before you guys were back. I didn't say it because you were young and irritable. Qing'er was a newborn baby and I hoped this matter wouldn't affect General Manor and Qing'er. He had borne all the pain alone. He had taken all the responsibility alone. He was unwilling to let the people, whom Yen'er cared for, suffer from a single bit of damage. As an emperor, he could hold back, but Zhangqian might not have been able to do it. If this matter had spread, it would have definitely affected the General Manor, and also the young Qing'er as well. He had already lost Yen'er. He could not afford to lose his daughter too. Those people who made you afraid. Nalin Zhangqian clenched his fists tighter. Are they the people who are from the reclusive family? Feng Tianyu tacitly admitted to Nalin Zhangqian's questions. He remained silent for a while and continued, but I still couldn't find out who was behind this after years of searching. Zhangqian, Master Nalin is in his old years, and he shouldn't be in hardship anymore. You must not let him know what I have said today. Nalin Zhangqian's heart was trembling. If even he could not bear it after hearing the news that his sister was murdered by someone, let alone his father who had been doting on his sister since she was young. He couldn't imagine what would happen if his father knew what had happened. Why are you telling me this now, Your Majesty? It's because Feng Tianyu couldn't help but smile bitterly. I need you to support Qing'er. Qing'er will know about Yen'er's death sooner or later, and it's better to tell her myself. He had been drinking the spirit wine that Feng Ruqing had brought, and his condition was getting better. Unfortunately, he was angered by those ministers, and he almost could not stand it. He was afraid that his life might end, handling those matters even for just one more day. That would force Qinger to face reality without any preparations. Feng Tianyu finally decided to reveal everything after watching Feng Ruqing's performance that day. Father, Feng Ruqing held Feng Tianyu's hand tightly. Your sickness, I will cure it for sure. But you have to stay strong and alive. Or else, as for Imperial Mother's temper, even if both of you meet at the Bridge of Helplessness she will not care about you anymore if she knows that you gave up on yourself. Feng Tianyu was stunned. This little girl. How could she know that he had lost his will to live? He did not even know how he had managed to survive all these years. What was the point of living without Yenner? Okay. Feng Tianyu smiled lightly as he stroked the girl's hair with his fingers. He replied gently, Father will survive. Feng Ruqing was skeptical and asked, Really? You promise? In the Emperor of Lu Yun Kingdom. If I have said so, you can take my words for it. With his smiling eyes, his voice was soft but feeble. Father, I can trust you one more time. Feng Ruqing helped Feng Tianyu up to his feet. Her eyes were firm and steady. But, if you wish to end your life someday, even if I need to rush Tokang Yin 1's palace or the Bridge of Helplessness, I will definitely drag you out from there. Chapter 166. The Little Stray Wolf? I don't want you to die. You are not allowed to die. Uncle, let me help my father sit down first. Feng Ruqing turned her head to look at Nalan Zhangqian. Currently, Feng Ruqing's mind was filled with worry about Feng Tianyu's health condition. She did not want to stay in the palace any longer. She only wanted to go back and discuss with Fu Chun how to cure her father. Thinking of Fu Chun, he was truly a precious gift. Not only did he have plenty of treasures, he was actually a walking dictionary. There was nothing in this world that he did not know. Even since Feng Ruqing had commanded the spirit beasts to leave the emperor's audience hall, the spirit beasts were wandering all over the palace. As the spirit beasts had always been feral, naturally, Tang Zi was not capable of handling them. However, the spirit beasts did not hurt anyone. Hence, Tang Zi did not stop them from wandering around. In the inner court, the snow wolf stuck its nose in the air as it snorted while staring disdainfully at the servants who were hiding away. Previously, in the Princess Manor, the snow wolf could feel the fear in Lu Li and Qing Ling's eyes whenever the snow wolf looked at them. However, ever since it had submitted to Feng Ruqing, this snow wolf of the heavenly mountain had completely lost its dignity as the two servants were no longer afraid of it. Now that the snow wolf had regained its dignity in the palace, it seemed that the snow wolf could come into the palace more often so these humans would bow their heads to the snow wolf. Cousin, look, the wolf is so imposing. Why is there be a wolf in the palace? Since I need a mount, can I take it? An unseemly voice, like a child's voice at the tender age, spoke not far away from the snow wolf. Hearing this, the haughty snow wolf stopped moving and turned to look for a moment. However, nothing came into sight besides its own body. Am I the wolf that he was talking about? The snow wolf raised its head to look ahead as it wondered. Standing not far away were a lady and a young master at the age of about 10 years old. With little makeup on her face, the lady in a flattering pink dress was extremely adorable. A dusky and rosy blush on her cheek was like an exquisite jade one, and her arched eyebrows were like the crescent moon. With a sweet, glittering smile on her lips, she looked extremely pure and gorgeous. Likewise, the young master had a pair of bright eyes and delicate features. However, he looked extremely annoying as his eyes were filled with greed. When the lady saw the haughty snow wolf, her face stiffened and the smile suddenly vanished. That's Feng Ruqing's spirit beast? Feng Rushuang was the one who gave Feng Ruqing the snow wolf. Originally, Feng Rushuang had thought that Feng Ruqing would regret getting the snow wolf. It turned out that the snow wolf had submitted itself to Feng Ruqing. Cousin Rushuang, I want that spirit beast. Can you give it to me? Lu Yu did not hear Feng Rushuang's words. He tugged at the Feng Rushuang's sleeve with one hand, while pointing at the snow wolf with the other. This time, the snow wolf finally understood. The snow wolf was truly the mount that the human had mentioned just now. Burning with rage, the snow wolf howled furiously as it stared at the two people before it with murderous intent. Will the master stop giving me the divine spirit fruit if I eat these two humans? Will the master stop loving me and throw me out of the manor after this? Will I be a stray wolf? If humans fed on wolf flesh before me, I would explode with rage. Will master also feel the same? The snow wolf sank into deep contemplation. Chapter 167. The old master of the Lu family, the earth bear, squinted at Lu Yu, who was extremely demanding, and turned to look at the snow wolf as it roared. Roar. Butler Snow Wolf, do you know these two people? Howl. I've seen the lady at the beast court. However, I guess she is one of the bastards in the beast court. Roar. Butler Snow Wolf, can we eat them? They are just two humans, but there are so many of us. Howl. No, we can't eat humans. The two of them are humans. They are the same as the master. What if the master blames us and doesn't give us the divine spirit fruit? Roar. The human caught you because they want to take away the divine spirit fruit that you were hiding? Originally, the snow wolf was indifferent. However, when it heard the earth bear's words, a sudden fiery rage swept over him. If you dare take my divine spirit fruit, you are no doubt digging your own grave. Seeing that the earth bear and the snow wolf were roaring, Feng Ruching was lost in bewilderment. She actually felt that both the spirit beasts were actually communicating with each other. However, not long after they had communicated, the snow wolf's disdainful gaze turned ferocious, as if Feng Rushuang had taken away its wife. For the snow wolf, the divine spirit fruit was far more important than its own life. Not only did Lu Yu want to make the snow wolf his mount, he even wanted to take away its divine spirit fruits. As Feng Ruching was stingy, she only gave the snow wolf 2 divine spirit fruits every day, even after the snow wolf had become a butler. Since then, the snow wolf had put away some of the divine spirit fruits, so it still had enough food if it made any mistakes in the future. Your Highness Princess Rushuang, this is nothing but a snow wolf. Since Yuer wants it, why don't you just give it to him? Before Feng Rushuang could say a word, a soft, disdainful laugh sounded. Standing rooted to the spot, Feng Rushuang turned her head only to see a noblewoman walking over. With a faint smile hanging on her lips, the noblewoman looked dazzling in silk and satin. She looked extremely elegant and dignified. Why are you here? Feng Rushuang's brows knitted together. The noblewoman was Feng Rushuang's aunt, Lu Ye's biological mother, Mei Ying. Previously, although the emperor disliked Lu Rong, he simply could not do anything to her because of Feng Ruching. Naturally, Mei Ying had worked very hard to keep in touch with Lu Rong. However, now that Lu Rong had offended the emperor and was stranded in the chamber, she had resorted to the Lu family to secure her foothold at the palace. As the saying goes, even a shrimp dares to dupe the dragon when it is in the shallow water. It was no wonder that Mei Ying had such an enormous ego. Seeing Mei Ying, Feng Rushuang sneered disdainfully. If I were not here, I will never know that your Highness Princess Rushuang was so mean and could not bear to give the snow wolf to Yuer. Mei Ying faked a smile as she said. Now that Lu Rong was confined to her chambers, apparently, she had lost her foothold at the palace. On the contrary, the Lu family was growing increasingly strong all these years under Lu Rong's great influence at the palace. As soon as Mei Ying's father attained Spirit Warrior tier, the whole world would fall within the Lu family's grasp. Even the emperor would not dare to mess with the Lu family. Noble consort Rong and Feng Rushuang would be nothing. Mommy, I want to make the snow wolf my mount, but cousin Rushuang refused. She said that she would rather give it to Feng Ruching. Lu Yu fell into his mother's embrace as he whined in an aggrieved tone. Lu Yu, what are you talking about? Hearing this, Feng Rushuang's face changed. Feng Rushuang had always been so kind to Lu Yu, but he had gone and actually dug her a grave. Chapter 168. The old master of the Lu family too. If Lu Yu was not the only young master of the Lu family, and if Lu Rong did not love him so much, Feng Rushuang would not be bothered about him. Your Highness Princess Rushuang, how could you do that? You have never learned to honor and show respect to the Lu family. Even when you have something good, you gave it to Feng Ruching. However, you can never please her regardless of what you do. Mei Ying's face darkened a few shades. Initially, Mei thought there must be someone in the palace who raised the snow wolf. Hearing Lu Ye's words, it turned out that Feng Rushuang was the one who owned the snow wolf. She had never thought the Feng Rushuang was such an ungrateful wretch and had actually given such a divine gift to Feng Ruching instead of Lu Yu. Aunt Lu, you have gone too far. Are you not afraid that I will tell my mother about this? Feng Rushuang blushed with rage. She gritted her teeth tightly as she spoke. Be my guest. I wonder if noble consort Rong will take your side. Mei sneered. Hearing this, Feng Rushuang's face collapsed like a deflated balloon. It was true that Lu Rong had always loved and cared for Feng Rushuang. However, when it came to a situation where Lu Rong had to choose between Lu Yu and Feng Rushuang, Lu Rong had always sided with Lu Yu. Not long ago, after Feng Ruching had laid her hands on Lu Yu, Mei had brought Lu Yu back to her parents' manor as she was afraid that Feng Ruching might look for more trouble. Hence, Mei did not know the things that had happened in the imperial city recently. Not to mention the incident when Feng Ruching had brought a large group of spirit beasts back to the city. Moreover, Mei and Lu Ye's strength was too low to find out that the snow wolf was actually a tier 3 spirit beast. If you truly want the snow wolf, go and get it now. Feng Rushuang lowered her eyes as she sneered. As long as the snow wolf is willing to bow its head to both of them, let's go and get your mount. Since Her Highness Princess Rushuang agrees, the snow wolf dares not go against us. Mei was brimming with joy. Seeing this, the snow wolf and the earth bear exchanged glances. What are these few human fighting for? However, regardless of what they are fighting for, these few people are evil. Roar. Seeing the noblewoman walking toward them with a kid in tow, the earth bear roared again. Butler Snow Wolf, should we attack? Howl. Why don't we give them a chance? We will only attack if they take one more step forward. Perhaps, the master will not penalize us as long as we don't eat humans. At this moment, Mei took one more step forward while Lu Yu said scornfully, Mommy, this bear is too fat and bears some resemblance to Feng Ruching. I don't like a butterball. I like the snow wolf more. The fat bear was too disgusting. Lu Yu hated a bloated wretch. Roar. The earth bear flew into a furious rage. You can say that I am stupid and foolish, but definitely not fat. What's wrong with being fat? Is it true that a fatty doesn't deserve anything but humiliation? What about a fatty's dignity? Burning with anger, the earth bear beat its chest with its fists ceaselessly and let out an earth-shattering roar. Its roar was so loud, Mei and Lu Yu could not help but take a few steps backward. Mei and Lu Yu stood rooted to the spot and did not regain their composure for a long while. At this moment, a buzzing sound echoed in their heads and blood streamed from their ears without them even realizing it. Feng Rushuang was dumbfounded. Originally, she had wanted to teach the two people a lesson. She had never intended to take their lives. Chapter 169. The old master of the Lu family, Mei Ying's death was nothing, but if anything were to happen to Lu Yu, Lu Rong would explode with rage and would not care about Feng Rushuang in the future ever again. Stop it! Stop it! Two loud voices sounded. The former was Feng Rushuang's while the latter was aged and wrathful. Before the earth bear could react, a powerful aura quickly rushed toward it. Stunned, the earth bear quickly stopped moving but was not capable of dodging the deadly aura. Howl. Seeing this, the snow wolf quickly stomped over, its eyes reddened with rage. Even though the earth bear was huge and bulky, it was not capable of handling such a strong aura. As the butler of the princess manor, if the snow wolf disregarded the safety of the earth bear, how could he command respect from the others? Just as the snow wolf rushed over to help the earth bear, a huge body as tall as a mountain quickly rushed over and stood in front of them. Stunned, the snow wolf and the earth bear flew into a great panic. Their eyes widened in shock. The person standing before them looked like a god who had descended from heaven and was even taller than Mount Tai. If you dare to lay your hands on me, my father would do nothing but kill the whole Lu family. A light and clear voice sounded. The murderous aura vanished in a flash, and the whole palace regained its peaceful silence. Standing rooted on the ground, the old man held his fist reluctantly in midair, right before Feng Ruching, and did not put down for a long while. Father, You have attained Spirit Warrior tier? Disregarding the blood streaming from her ears, Maying quickly rushed to the old man. She was thrilled when she saw the old man. The Spirit Warrior tier cultivator was the most powerful warrior in the whole Lu Yun kingdom. The Lu family's foothold in the kingdom was growing increasingly stronger all through the years as Lu Yongxiu's strength had grown in leaps and bounds. He had even found a quiet and secluded place for closed-door cultivation to attempt the attainment of Spirit Warrior tier. Even though Maying did not know what Lu Yunxiao had encountered, that his strength had made an enormous stride forward, she understood that as long as Lu Yunxiao had attained Spirit Warrior tier, the Lu family would scruple at nothing in Lu Yun Kingdom. In Songyu mainland, the strong should rule, and the weak should simply get out of the way regardless of the royal status. It was a pity that the Emperor of Lu Yun Kingdom was also of Spirit Warrior tier. Hence, it was not the right time for the Lu family to take over the kingdom unless Lu Yunxiao could surpass the Emperor and be the top warrior of the kingdom. Even so, as Lu Yunxiao had attained Spirit Warrior tier, the Emperor would not simply mess with him. After all, no one had a solid upper hand in winning the battle between two Spirit Warriors. For a Spirit Warrior, killing cultivators who had attained lower tier than the Spirit Warrior tier was nothing but killing an ant. Your Highness, these two spirit beasts attacked my grandson. Why are you stopping me? Disregarding all the ethics, Lu Yunxiao balled his hands into fists as he snarled. Lu Yunxiao was completely different from the person in the prince's memory. Back then, the Lu family had always been meek and subservient to the princess in order to please her. However, Lu Yunxiao had left the kingdom 10 years ago and was nowhere to be found. Even the emperor had no idea where Lu Yunxiao was hiding. Although the princess had rarely met Lu Yunxiao back then, she could never get rid of his obsequious expression that was deeply engraved in her mind. Little did Feng Ruqing expect that when she met Lu Yunxiao again, he would have actually attained Spirit Warrior tier. Chapter 170. The old master of the Lu family. For Feng Ruqing's eyes narrowed. Back then, when Lu Yunxiao had vanished from the city all of a sudden, Feng Ruqing had resorted to the emperor to look for Lu Yunxiao. Now, it turned out that the Lu family knew what had actually happened to Lu Yunxiao, but pretended to be clueless of his whereabouts so he could secretly cultivate to enhance his strength. Most importantly, the master behind this was truly something, as he was capable of keeping Lu Yunxiao out of sight from all the masters in Lu Yun Kingdom. Perhaps, this had something to do with Empress Nalan's death. My spirit beasts will never hurt anyone without a reason. Both of them must have done something that had infuriated my spirit beasts. What have they done to you? Feng Ruqing turned to look at the earth bear. The earth bear pointed its claw at Lu Yu as it roared. Tears nearly fell from its eyes, as if it had suffered a great deal of grief. What did the berries say? I don't get it. Feng Ruqing was caught dumbfounded and turned to look at the snow wolf. Beery was the name Feng Ruqing had assigned to the earth bear. Hence, the earth bear was the only spirit beast with a name. Howl! Howl! The snow wolf pointed its claw at Lu Yu, as if telling Feng Ruqing about Lu Ye's evil doings. However, Feng Ruqing still could not get the snow wolf. Fortunately, Lu Yu quickly straightened it out. That's my spirit beast. Cousin Rushuang gave it to me. Who do you think you are to take it away from me? You devil! Bastard! Seeing that Feng Ruqing wanted to take the snow wolf away from him, Lu Yu disregarded his ears that were still bleeding and stared furiously at Feng Ruqing as he stomped his feet in rage. Feng Rushuang flew into a great panic. Originally, she had induced Lu Yu to approach the spirit beasts as she wanted to teach Lu Yu a lesson. It turned out that Lu Yu had dug her a grave. However, Feng Rushuang quickly felt relieved after she glanced at Lu Yunxiao. Feng Rushuang's grandfather, Lu Yunxiao, had returned with such an almighty power. Naturally, Feng Ruqing could no longer bully her. However, seeing Lu Yunxiao had stopped moving forward, Feng Rushuang quickly understood. The emperor loved Feng Ruqing more than himself. If anything were to happen to Feng Ruqing, the emperor would never let Lu Yunxiao off so easily. As there were only two people who had attained Spirit Warrior tier in Lu Yun Kingdom, Lu Yunxiao and the emperor. If a battle started between the two spirit warriors, the emperor might not be capable of defeating Lu Yunxiao. The battle between the two would only cause destruction to both sides, as the emperor would fight to the death and perish together with Lu Yunxiao. Lu Yunxiao had strived extremely hard to attain his current strength and foothold. Naturally, he would not take such a risk. Moreover, he just needed a little more time to overtake the emperor. It was not a wise decision to make such a move. Hence, Lu Yunxiao dared not lay his hands on Feng Ruqing. Since when did my snow wolf belong to Feng Rushuang? Feng Ruqing squinted at Feng Rushuang coldly. Your Highness, Shuanger said that the snow wolf was her spirit beast, but you had forced her to give it to you. You truly are a master in taking someone else's belongings. Meiying felt greatly relieved seeing that Lu Yunxiao had returned to the city. She forced a smile as she spoke. Meiying would have never spoken to Feng Ruqing like that before this. Now that she had a strong backing, she was no longer afraid of Feng Ruqing. There was a barricade, which was almost impossible to break through, to attain each tier along the cultivation journey. Even though the emperor owned hundreds and thousands of troops, they were simply a piece of cake in the eyes of spirit warriors. When did I say that? I don't recall ever saying that before. Hearing this, Feng Rushuang was rendered speechless. Chapter 171. Spirit Warrior Tier? Is it something edible? Your Highness has gone too far. I know that you have always been bratty and spoilt. However, you should know how Shuanger has treated you all this while. She has saved your life, but you have taken the spirit beast away from her? How could you bite the hand that feeds you? Lu Yunxiao's face darkened a few shades. As Lu Yunxiao had gone for closed-door cultivation for months, and Feng Ruqing was only here for about 2 to 3 months, naturally, Lu Yunxiao was not aware of the things that had happened in the imperial city recently. Feng Ruqing suddenly broke into laughter. Her gaze was icy cold. Master Lu has just returned to the city. It is natural that you are unaware of the things that have happened in the past few months. Lady Lu, don't you know the things that have happened at the city's gates? Are you pretending to be ignorant? What is that all about? Meiying's face stiffened. What had actually happened in the past few months that Meiying was not aware of? If you are not aware, you can ask Feng Rushuang. She knows it very well. Feng Ruqing moved close to Meiying with a faint smile on her face. Aunt, perhaps you are not aware of this as you have gone back to your parents' manor. Feng Ruqing is the one who has brought all these spirit beasts back to the city. All the people in the imperial city beheld the whole incident. Seeing Mei Ying's eyes fixed on her, Feng Rushuang said calmly. As everyone in Lu Yun Kingdom knew about this, Feng Rushuang would not dare to lie. I thought you have said that Shuanger owned this spirit beast? Hearing this, Mei Ying's face darkened and quickly turned to look at Lu Yu. Lost in wonder, Lu Yu only regained his composure after a long while. Mommy, I am not sure about that. That's what cousin Rushuang has told me. She told me that all these spirit beasts belong to her. I don't care. I want that snow wolf. If you can't get the snow wolf for me, I won't drink or eat anything. I will kill myself. Lu Yu raised his chin as he snorted with a decisive tone. Meiying was a little worried. However, as the spirit beast did not belong to Feng Rushuang, she could hardly take it with her. Yuer, why don't I buy one for you from the beast court? No way. I want this snow wolf. Lu Yu sat down, rolled all over the ground, refusing to let go of the snow wolf. As the Lu family and Lu Rong had showered Lu Yu with too much affections, and that Feng Ruqing had always been siding him previously, Lu Yu had grown extremely spoilt and demanding. However, Feng Ruqing was no longer a fool. Lu Yu had not learned his lesson, although Feng Ruqing had laid her hands on him. Mommy, if you can't get the snow wolf for me, I will ask noble consort Rong to help me. As long as noble consort Rong agrees, I will get anything I want. Hey you. You have always been giving me everything that I wanted previously. What's wrong with you now? Who do you think you are? Burning with rage, Lu Yu glared at Feng Ruqing. It was true that if one gave a beggar money every day, once he stopped giving, not only would the beggar be ungrateful toward him, the beggar would also hold grudges against him. Your Highness, it is just a spirit beast. Yuer is considered your younger brother after all. Why don't you give the snow wolf to him as a gift? The whole Lu family would be very grateful to you. Meiying peeked at Lu Yunxiao. Seeing that Lu Yunxiao did not stop her, she braced herself, took a step forward, and spoke. Feng Rooking's gaze was growing increasingly cold like the bitter chill of winter that sent a chill into everyone's heart. First of all, I only have a brother and sister, Nalandire and Nalanjing. I'm not going to even mention Lu Yu, when even Feng Rushuang has nothing to do with me. Chapter 172. Spirit Warrior Tear? Is it edible? 2. Secondly, the snow wolf is not an item or a gift. It is like my own child. Even if you could give your child away to others, I am not so cold-hearted. I will never do that. Mei Ying was infuriated by Feng Rooking's words. It was just a wolf, but Feng Ruching actually treated the wolf like a human? Apparently, everyone in this world would agree that human was more important. However, Feng Ruching was treating the wolf as if it were her own child. She could not even differentiate humans from beasts. What kind of monster was she? Hearing Feng Ruching, the snow wolf was moved to tears and cried out loudly. Feng Ruching was such a good master. Not only did she disregarded her own safety and rushed to the snow wolf's rescue, but she had also treated the snow wolf as if it were her own child. The snow wolf had decided to stay by Feng Rooking's side for the rest of its life, and would never leave Feng Ruching even when she ran out of divine spirit fruits. Your Highness, it's just a wolf. You can get another one anytime. How could you compare the wolf with my son? Mei Ying forced a smile. You are right. I shouldn't compare the snow wolf with your son, Feng Ruching said apologetically. Since your Highness understand, Mei Ying smiled wryly. Before Mei Ying could finish her words, Feng Rooking's bright voice started again. It's because the whole Lu family is not worthy of even a strand of the snow wolf's hair. I had actually compared your son with the snow wolf. I feel so sorry on its behalf. I must thank Lady Lu for reminding me. I will never compare the snow wolf with any other human beings in the future. Feng Ruching stroked Snow Wolf's hair, her eyes filled with regrets. The snow wolf was so loyal and naive that Feng Ruching could hardly find such a great wolf to guard the door, and these people actually wanted to take the snow wolf away from her? In their dreams. Your Highness! Mei Ying exploded in rage as she shouted. At this moment, a glimmer of light flashed in Feng Rooking's eyes. She quickly turned around, stood behind Mei Ying, and slapped her hard across her face. As Feng Ruching was extremely fast, even Lu Yunxiao did not expect that Feng Ruching would lay her hands on Mei Ying, let alone the others. Who do you think you are to shout at me? Feng Ruching snarled coldly. You? Mei Ying blushed in anger as she pointed her finger at Feng Ruching. Don't you dare point your finger at me again. I would chop off your finger. A hint of viciousness flashed in Feng Rooking's eyes, staring resentfully at Feng Ruching. It was only natural that Mei Ying would hold grudges against Feng Ruching. Her father-in-law had attained Spirit Warrior tier. Why did she still have to bow her head to Feng Ruching? However, Mei Ying put down her hand reluctantly as she was afraid that Feng Ruching would lose her mind. Grandpa, I want this snow wolf. Lu Yu turned to look longingly at Lu Yunxiao, who had not said a word so far. Your Highness, don't you think you have crossed the line by laying your hands on my daughter-in-law in front of me? Disregarding Lu Yu, Lu Yunxiao's eyes were filled with a deep and brooding resentment. As Lu Yunxiao had attained the Spirit Warrior tier, even the Emperor would treat him as a noble guest. Simply no one would have thought that Feng Ruching would slap Mei Ying before Lu Yunxiao. Is it wrong that I have slapped her? Who would dare to stop me even if I kill her? Feng Ruching squinted at Lu Yunxiao. You. I am a spirit warrior. Lu Yunxiao flew into a rage. Chapter 173. Spirit Warrior tier? Is it edible? 3. What is a spirit warrior? Can it be my snow wolf snack? Otherwise, it's useless. Feng Ruching stretched her arms and pretended that she knew nothing about it. This lady truly has no idea what a spirit warrior is. Lu Yunxiao was dumbfounded as all his efforts went down the drain. I am in the same tier as your father. Lu Yunxiao took a deep breath and suppressed the anger burning within him. Ah, you are eyeing the throne. Lu Yunxiao was startled and rendered speechless. Even if he had thought of usurping the throne, now was not the right time to do so. Somebody please come over. Feng Ruching shouted, her cold voice echoing in the courtyard. Not long after, A group of imperial guards rushed over from all over the palace, making a besieging formation around them. When Lu Yunxiao finally realized what was happening, the imperial guards had surrounded him. "Your Highness, what do you mean?" Lu Yunxiao gritted his teeth. "Lu Yunxiao wants to usurp the throne. Seize him." Feng Ruqing's eyes narrowed as she turned to look at the imperial guard leader with a bright smile on her face. Stunned, Lu Yunxiao felt as if he had been set up. Not only did he do nothing, but he also did not even lay his hand on Feng Ruqing. In the end, he was claimed to be eyeing the throne. "Your Highness, when did I say that I want to wrestle power from the emperor? Why are you framing me?" Lu Yunxiao's face turned red from anxiety. "I thought you said that you were the same tier as my father?" Feng Ruqing squinted at Lu Yunxiao. "Yes, I did. How did that have anything to do with usurping the throne?" As Lu Yunxiao had attained Spirit Warrior tier, naturally, he was the same tier as the emperor. "There you are. My father is the emperor of Lu Yun Kingdom. Since you said that you are in the same tier as my father, you are saying that you too are the emperor. Apparently, you have the intention to usurp the throne." Lu Yunxiao had come across many shameless scum, and in fact, he was one of them. However, all of them were nothing as compared to Feng Ruqing. She truly was the most shameless of all. Seeing the imperial guards with weapons in their hands, Lu Yunxiao balled his hands into fists. The spiritual qi coming from him was like a storm. Suddenly, an old voice spoke. The voice was full of power, and its overwhelming loftiness had shaken everyone on the spot. "I heard that someone wants to usurp the throne. Who dares to wrestle the power from my son-in-law?" Feng Ruqing raised her head only to see an old master walking through the door. The corner of her lips subconsciously curved into a smile. "Grandpa." The old master looked extremely imposing in dark blue robe with one hand behind his back. As he had survived years of battle, he was amazingly agile. His murderous aura was blood-curdling and had sent a chill down everyone's spine. However, the deadly aura vanished without a trace when the old master saw Feng Ruqing. "Grandpa, why are you here?" Feng Ruqing broke into a bright smile as her somber mood vanished in a flash. "I heard that someone had offended my son-in-law and had bullied my granddaughter in the audience hall. How could I let this slide? Although the assembly has ended, I know that you are still in the palace, but—" Master Nayland snorted as he said. Little did Master Nayland expect someone was actually eyeing the throne. This fellow had truly disregarded him. Chapter 174. Spineless Lu Yunxiao. That's total nonsense. I do not intend to usurp the throne. I am here as someone has bullied my grandchildren. I have never thought that Her Highness would actually frame me. Master Nayland, please do me right and justice. Lu Yunxiao's face darkened a few shades as his eyes turned malicious. Master Nayland squinted. These people had forced the emperor to penalize Feng Ruqing in the audience hall. Now they wanted to mess around again? Did they truly think that Master Nayland was too old and senile? Do you right and justice? Since you have returned, you really need to do the whole Nayland family right and justice. This little rascal has always been bullying my little Dyer. Don't you think you owe me an explanation? With a straight face, Master Nayland stood his ground like the warlord he was on the battlefield years ago. He was extremely cold and terrifying. Seeing this, Lu Yunxiao was lost in awe. Rumor had it that this old coot was seriously ill and could hardly walk without a crutch. Where was his crutch? Seeing Master Nayland's overwhelming momentum and loftiness when he was burning with rage, apparently, he was still as strong as he was before. Master Nayland, Yuer is just a child. Even if he is messing around, what would he be capable of doing? On the contrary, Her Highness Spirit Beast has hurt Yuer. Feng Ruqing has even slapped my daughter-in-law. If you don't straighten this out today, don't blame me for the things I might do later. The spiritual qi emanating from Lu Yunxiao had quickly engulfed the whole place. Pfft! Who dares to mess with Feng Ruqing? Master Nayland snorted. Bang! Master Nayland could no longer suppress his power. Suddenly, the wind howled furiously. A sudden, uncontrollable outburst of momentum destroyed the surrounding trees. The whole inner court sank into total chaos. You! Lu Yunxio's body stiffened as he stared at Master Nailin with his eyes wide open. You have attained Spirit Warrior Tier 2? Lu Yunxiao asked with a sharp and trembling voice. At his age, even true Warrior Tier was a great challenge for Master Nailin. It was almost impossible for him to make a breakthrough with his own ability. It seemed that Master Nailin had some pleasant encounters. To make a breakthrough, Lu Yunxiao had struggled through years of hardship and hid away from the watching eyes of the people in the palace. However, Master Nailin had actually made a breakthrough so easily. That was so unfair. Breathing hard, Lu Yunxio's face was ghastly pale as he balled his hands into fists. A powerful spiritual qi streamed out between his fingers, but quickly vanished without a trace. Spirit Warrior Tier? Feng Rushuang rushed forward with her eyes filled with despair. As Feng Rushuang's grandpa had finally attained the Spirit Warrior Tier, she thought that she could catch up with Feng Ruching and the Emperor would no longer look at her in disdain. However, in the blink of an eye, Master Nailin too had made a breakthrough and attained the Spirit Warrior Tier. Why is luck on Feng Ruching's side? Why do I always lose to her? Feng Rushuang could not resign to her fate. She wanted to trample Feng Ruching under her feet. It was great news for the whole realm that Master Nailin had attained Spirit Warrior Tier, but a bolt from the blue for Feng Rushuang. Seething with anger, Feng Rushuang's body shook violently. Chapter 175. Spineless Lu Yunxiao Tu Hua. Lu Yu was stunned and instantly started to bawl. He kept tugging at Lu Yunxio's sleeve while crying out loud, "Grandpa, I want that snow wolf. I want that snow wolf." Lu Yunxiao frowned, showing that he was annoyed and impatient with this child. How could this spoilt brat become so pampered to this extent? However, despite his dissatisfaction with the child's spoilt attitude, he must maintain his Lu family descendants' pride in front of the others. Slap. When Lu Yunxiao was about to open his mouth, Feng Ruching was already in front of Lu Yu in a swift motion. She lifted up the short boy using one hand and gave a loud slap on his bottom. "If you wail one more time, you'll be my snow wolf's meal later." The maiden threatened him with one raised brow. She maintained her arrogance while acting indifferent. Oh, wool. The snow wolf's eyes were shining with excitement. It had not eaten humans for a long time. Although this little human did not seem appetizing, it could still have him as a snack. Lu Yu was so terrified that he immediately stopped crying. He looked at Lu Yunxiao, who had a stern expression. Then he averted his gaze to his mother, who was burning with anger and disbelief. Tears of grief filled his eyes as it almost flowed down his cheek. "Princess, don't you think your action is a bit too much?" Lu Yunxiao exclaimed with gritted teeth, and his fists were balled tightly. Feng Ruching glanced at Lu Yunxiao and said coldly, "You want to seize my father's throne while he wants to snatch my snow wolf. Aren't the both of you the worst?" Lu Yunxiao was taken aback and tried to defend himself. Dethroning the emperor is just a baseless rumor. Regarding the spirit beast, it is just a spirit beast. If your royal highness is willing to give this spirit beast to Yuer as a gift, I am willing to promise you 3 conditions. Feng Ruching laughed. She laughed because of Lu Yunxio's words. Feng Ruching turned to look at the old general. "Grandpa, are his 3 conditions worthy?" The old general stared at Lu Yunxiao coldly and answered, "Not even worth a penny." "You?" Lu Yunxiao was getting caught up in his anger, but he knew he had to suppress it. He did not dare to challenge the old general now based on his current cultivation level. Nevertheless, he had reached Spirit Warrior Tier. Perhaps Feng Ruching was still young and immature, but how was it be possible for the old general to ignore his new cultivation level? If Lu Yun Kingdom had 3 Spirit Warrior Tiers, it was definitely good news to His Majesty. Wasn't his promise far more valuable than the spirit beast? Definitely not worth it at all. Feng Ruching smiled. "My snow wolf is only 2 years old, but it is already a Tier 2 spirit beast. I believe it will reach Tier 3 in a short time." On the other hand, a 60-year-old graybeard who has just reached Spirit Warrior Tier like you, what makes you think you are an equal match to my little wolfie? The snow wolf nodded its head aggressively. Yes, it was definitely worth more than this old man. Nobody could separate the divine spirit fruit from the snow wolf. "Are you thinking of landing the first blow at me?" Feng Ruching glared at the furious Lu Yunxiao. Her smile became broader before calling out, "Guards, get my father here now. Tell him that someone intends to seize the throne and land a blow on me." Lu Yunxiao's wrinkled face became stiff. He looked more nervous when he saw that the old general was calm and composed in front of Feng Ruching, ready to protect her from any danger. Before this, he had dared to have such an arrogant attitude because Lu Yun Kingdom had only one spirit warrior tier, Feng Tianyu. However, there was another one now. Furthermore, he was Feng Tianyu's father-in-law. This had caused a massive headache for him. After all, if two spirit warriors joined hands to fight him together, he would definitely lose to them. Misunderstanding. This is totally a misunderstanding. Lu Yunxiao wiped beads of sweat from his forehead. A sneer was plastered on his aged face. This was the first time he had acted so cowardly after he had reached the breakthrough of Spirit Warrior tier. In a blink of an eye, 10 years ago did not seem like a long while ago. That old man was fawning people by nodding and bowing to please others. Chapter 176. Punishment. Feng Ruching squinted and smirked sinisterly. Misunderstanding? I don't think this is a misunderstanding. You have shown your intention to usurp the throne. Now, I must inform my father about it. Lu Yunxiao became speechless. He deeply regretted coming to the palace today. If he had not turned up at the palace to show off his new cultivation level, he would not have stirred up trouble for himself. Why had he provoked this group of people in the first place? Your Royal Highness, it was a misunderstanding. I swear that the Lu family has been loyal to His Majesty. In fact, my daughter is one of His Majesty's consorts. Why should I seize the throne for no reason? Your Royal Highness has totally misunderstood me. Then, why have you nearly landed a blow on me just now? Feng Ruching moved closer to Lu Yunxiao with a threatening tone. The smile plastered on Lu Yunxiao became stiff and more awkward. He admitted that he had almost landed a blow on her. However, he had not done it in the end. Had he? You are the honorable princess of Lu Yun Kingdom. If I were given 100 guts, I would not even have the nerve to belittle you, your Royal Highness. If the old general was absent, perhaps Lu Yunxiao would not have managed to control himself. Unfortunately, this old man had hit the breakthrough of the Spirit Warrior tier as well. He did not have the courage to deal with 2 Spirit Warriors on his own. He was not that mad yet. Lu Yunxiao, how dare you, you old chap? Master Nalen was not bothered if it was a misunderstanding or not. He was fuming with rage. He sounded stern and cold when he warned them. How dare you bully Qinger in the palace? Today, no one from the Lu family can leave this place. Lu Yunxiao broke out in more cold sweat as the sweat ran down his back. He felt that the situation had worsened. He did not want to stay at the palace any longer. If His Majesty knew about this, he could never leave this place. Old General, I have already clarified it as a misunderstanding. If I knew how important the spirit beasts are to the princess, I would not have responded this way. Lu Yunxiao insisted on claiming it as a misunderstanding. He would never admit that it was done on purpose. You claim that it is a misunderstanding. However, Lady Lu herself had said the opposite. According to her, these spirit beasts belonged to Feng Ruchuang. She had even forced me to surrender my spirit beast to her. What about this matter? Do I just simply consider it as a mere misunderstanding as well? Upon hearing this, Lu Yunxiao's face darkened, and he glared at Feng Ruchuang and Mei Ying, who standing behind him, coldly. Feng Ruchuang was startled by Feng Ruching's accusation. She looked at her in disbelief. Her face had instantly turned pale. Feng Ruching actually knew. It was impossible for her to say something like this. Why? Why must she drag her into trouble? She was innocent in this matter. Since both of Her Royal Highness and Mei Ying have made a mistake, they have to bear the consequences. Your Royal Highness can do whatever you want of them, and I definitely have no qualms about it. As usual, the Lu family would inherently prioritize their own needs above the relationship. Furthermore, Lu Rong and Feng Ruchuang were useless to the extent that their existences were barely recognized at the imperial palace. Thus, he did not feel like defending them. Besides, these 2 women were of little value to him. If only the master had not given them chances, he would have gotten rid of them a long time ago. Grandpa? Feng Rushuang was shocked. She bit her lip desperately while holding in her tears from flowing down her cheeks. Look at Feng Ruqing's grandpa. No matter how she had hurt his feelings in the past, eventually he still stuck up for her. On the contrary, look at her own grandpa, who was a far cry from Feng Ruqing's. The difference was like heaven and earth. Feng Rushuang could only voice it inwardly. She did not understand this at all. Why? Why was Feng Ruqing always the fortunate one? A lot of people kept protecting and defending her while she had no one to stand up for her. She had to stand on her own 2 feet. If you say so. Feng Ruqing's cold gaze was fixed on him. Her devilish grin flashed for a brief moment. Grandpa, I heard we have an insufficient sparring partner in the military camp. Is it true? Then, I will send Feng Rushuang there for a few months' training. Perhaps it might improve her attitude. That had shocked Feng Rushuang terribly as her face turned pale within seconds. It was as though all blood was drained from her face. Feng Ruqing wanted to send her to the military camp? It was a place for toil and hard labor. Was it even fit for humans to stay? After all, the military camp was the Nayland family's territory. She would definitely have a hard life there. Chapter 177. Punishment 2. Feng Ruqing. Father will never allow you to do so. Feng Rushuang was trembling with shock. She was still trying to put up a weak resistance. However, she was fully aware that her attempt was basically useless. Do you think father will listen to me, or he will listen to you instead? Feng Ruqing stroked her chin gently. She had a mocking grin plastered on her face. Let's not talk about sending you to the military camp. Father will never reject my request even if I find you a beggar husband. It was a saddening truth that made Feng Rushuang's heart shatter into pieces. It seemed like the end of the world for her. Her big eyes glittered with tears. She spoke in a shaky voice. You already knew that I won't say such things. This snow wolf was given to Feng Ruqing by her. Moreover, she had seen these spirit beasts at the city entrance. How is it possible for her to say something so foolish like this? Feng Ruqing shrugged with an innocent expression. I have no idea. I only know that your aunt won't harm you. Of course, she was aware that Feng Rushuang would not act foolishly. However, this did not mean that she did not want to send Feng Rushuang away. Who had asked Feng Rushuang to attempt to climb into the state preceptor's bed? Getting rid of her for a while would prevent her from becoming an eyesore in the imperial city. After all, within a few months, who knew what would happen in the imperial city? Feng Rushuang was speechless. She attempted to say something for a few times, but no words came out of her mouth. Finally, she realized the truth. Feng Ruqing had done this intentionally. She had been looking for an opportunity to get rid of her so she could monopolize father's affection. Feng Ruqing averted her gaze to Mei Ying. Mei Ying immediately lowered down her head as she was having goosebumps. She did not dare to look into Feng Ruqing's eyes. Feng Ruqing smiled. However, her condescending sneer gave people a chill down their spine. Since you are bad at parenting, I do not mind helping you out. Starting today, Lu Yu is required to stay at the palace. I will let other people teach him a lesson about mannerism. Lady Lu was rather flustered. She held Lu Yu's body tightly and pleaded, Your Royal Highness, please spare Yuer. She could not leave Yuer alone here. It was impossible for her to do so. Feng Ruqing gave a signal glance to the snow wolf. The snow wolf immediately understood it. It howled and moved toward Mei Ying with its head held high in a proud posture. Mei Ying was too frightened to stop it from approaching. Her body was shivering in fear. Your Royal Highness, Lu Yunxiao unconsciously blocked the snow wolf and attempted to rescue his grandson. Yuer is innocent in this matter. After all, Lu Yu was his precious grandson. Grandson and granddaughter were treated differently. Feng Ruqing gave a contemptuous smile, then she commanded, Guards, get my father here now. Tell him that someone is not only intending to seize the throne, but he had also hit me. Lu Yunxiao's eyes widened in shock. When did he hit her? He did not even dare to put one finger on her. Wait. Looking at the Imperial Guard was leaving, Lu Yunxiao panicked and immediately stopped him. If someone had managed to inform Feng Tianyu to come here, he would definitely fight him at all costs. He was not that foolish to deal with Feng Tianyu right now. Your Royal Highness, Yuer is still too young. Lu Yunxiao frowned. Exactly. Since he is still very young, he needs to be educated properly. Feng Ruqing cut him off with a sweet smile. I will help you educate him for the Lu family's sake. Lu Yunxiao seemed perplexed and bewildered. He had been a coward all the time. That was the reason why he had trained himself outside. He was arrogant before this because he thought only Feng Tianyu alone at the imperial palace was on his par. Now, after a brief moment, Lu Yunxiao loosened up his frown. Perhaps Feng Ruqing would not treat Yue badly, or else that master would not let her off the hook easily. Chapter 178. Punishment 3. Then, I am sorry to bother you with such trouble. Lady Liu's eyes widened in disbelief. Did father-in-law just give up without a fight? How could he act like a spineless coward? Yue was the only male descendant of the Lu family now. How could he leave him alone at the palace? As for Lady Lu, Feng Ruqing glared at Mei Ying, who held her head low before she continued. Punish her with 100 strokes of the cane and chase her out of the palace. She is no longer allowed to step into the palace. Lady Lu was startled upon hearing about her punishment, but she did not dare to protest. Even her father-in-law had surrendered like a coward. She could do nothing alone. As for you, Feng Ruqing turned around to face Lu Yunxiao. She would never forget that Mei Ying had such an overweening and conceited attitude because of Lu Yunxiao. He was the real culprit behind this incident. Lu Yunxiao, who was already sullen with grief, started to feel angry again upon hearing Feng Ruqing's words. However, he eventually suppressed his anger. Your Royal Highness, this is a real misunderstanding. I don't care whether it is a misunderstanding or not. Today, all of you have made my spirit beasts and I offerfied with this incident. We must get some psychological compensation from you. Little Wolfie, take the bear with you to Lu Yunxiao's manor later and bring back whatever precious things that you like. Lu Yunxiao was speechless. He murmured silently, Are you the princess of Lu Yun Kingdom or a robber who claims yourself as the king of the mountain? How could she deceive and take advantage of people in such a way? You seem dissatisfied. Guards, get my father. She did not finish her sentence when Lu Yunxiao quickly cut her off with gritted teeth. As you wish, Your Royal Highness. Damn it, Feng Ruqing. He would definitely take revenge one day. He felt indignant for what had happened. Good. Feng Ruqing finally smiled with satisfaction. She patted the snow wolf's head and reminded it. Remember to bring back all the golds and silvers for me after you have finished eating those spirit herbs. Do you hear me? The Lu family managed to upgrade their cultivation level at a fast speed due to a secret method and also with the help of spirit herbs. Thus, if she could not empty the whole Lu manor, she would never be easily satisfied. Lu Yunxiao's old face turned pale instantly. How did she know about the hidden spirit herbs in Lu residence? Those spirit herbs were his precious treasure he had collected from the master throughout the years. He had planned to keep it for Yue in the future. In fact, he had been secretive and careful when carrying out this matter. He was quite certain that nobody knew about it. So, how did she find out with such details? However, Lu Yunxiao breathed a sigh of relief when he thought about the hidden location of his sacred spirit herbs. It was a secluded and hidden place. Even these spirit beasts could not find the hidden treasure. In regard to other money and valuables, those were mere worldly possessions, so he was all right if they were gone. He had hidden them well in the secret location anyway. You should get lost now. Feng Ruqing's facial expression turned icy cold, and she scolded him with a stern voice. Lu Yunxiao held his fists together to be excused. I'll make a move now. Once he finished his words, he averted his icy and emotionless gaze to Lady Lu, who kept holding Lu Yu. Let's go.
Yes.
Mei Ying stood up from the ground with her jaw clenched tightly. She looked at the wailing Lu Yu and felt sorry for her son. Finally, she forced herself to turn around and follow Lu Yunxiao's footsteps. After Lu Yunxiao had left the place, Feng Ruqing ordered the Imperial Guards to take Feng Rushuang and Lu Yu away and dismiss the rest. There were only her and Master Nalen in the back garden. Master Nalen was still fuming with anger and panted, Qinger, why did you let those bastards from the Lu family go easily? Both of you have just hit the cultivation breakthrough not long ago. If there is a battle, It will definitely cause serious injury and damage to both warriors. I am not willing to see you hurt, Feng Ruching explained. Chapter 179. Punishment for Master Nalen had reached the golden age. He should be enjoying his retired life right now instead of worrying about the battle. She would not bother him with such matters. Master Nalen understood and appreciated how Feng Ruching cared for him. His anger subsided slowly. We still have His Majesty, don't we? If both of us join hands to fight him, how would it be possible for us to lose to that old man? Feng Ruching's smile slowly ceased from her face as she went silent. Master Nalen was startled and realized that something was wrong. Qinger, did something happen? Feng Ruching forced a smile and muttered, "This is the actual reason I had refused to let father fight a battle. His health is not very well. I'm afraid he is unable to fight anymore." Since her father had almost fainted that day, she took the opportunity to let Fu Chan check his health. That was how she found out about her father's current poor health condition. Feng Tianyu had been enduring the pain secretly. Even though he had the ability of the Spirit Warrior tier, he was unable to utilize his strength and it would affect his body. Master Nalan's heart skipped a beat. He asked anxiously, "What happened? What's wrong with His Majesty?" "Grandpa, if I'm not mistaken, father has been poisoned." Apparently, he looked exhausted due to overworking apart from excessive mourning and sadness which had caused the decline of his physical and mental health. However, the truth was, he had been poisoned. In fact, once this type of poison invaded the bone marrow, it was highly undetectable. Thus, even though Feng Ruching had met Feng Tianyu so many times, she did not realize that he had been poisoned. If it was not because Feng Tianyu could no longer bear the pain this time, she would not even have realized it at all. What? Master Nalen was fuming with rage as he nearly fell down. He quickly held on the tree next to him to stabilize himself. He gritted his teeth in anger. Who is the person who dares to poison His Majesty? Feng Ruching pursed her lips before continuing. Moreover, this poison has been in his body for many years. Actually, he was supposed to drop dead that year. Fortunately, someone has managed to control his poison, so he could stay alive until today. However, the poison is not totally cleared from his body. It will invade his whole body sooner or later and weaken his health until the day he dies. Based on her father's current condition, it was evident he did not know he was poisoned. It was probably undetectable. In fact, other people had not realized that he had been poisoned, as they assumed his health was deteriorating due to excessive sadness. Then, how long can His Majesty live? Master Nalen asked the question in a trembling voice. His eyes were full of sorrow and pain. Maximum 1 year. Feng Ruching said it with her eyes closed. Within 1 year, if she failed to cure him, he could not be saved anymore. Once the poison invades his heart, there was nothing else she could do. 1 year. Master Nalen closed his old eyes as he was immensely saddened by the news. After a brief second, he suddenly opened his eyes with a determined glare. If I find the person who has poisoned him, I, Nalen, who swear to torture him alive. Grandpa. Feng Ruching held Master Nalan's wrinkled hand gently and assured him, "Believe me, I will not let him leave us. Moreover, the spirit wine will able to control the poison for now. As long we can keep the poison slightly under control, it will buy me some time to find the cure." It was such a pity that spirit wine could only lessen her father's pain from the poison, but was unable to cure the result of the poison. Spirit wine? Master Nalan's eyes suddenly flashed with excitement, but then his joy was instantly subdued. He confessed sadly, "The spirit wine. I have already finished it, every single drop of the wine." Chapter 180. Punishment v. Feng Ruching patted Master Nalan's hand. "It's okay. I've given my father a jar of spirit wine. This spirit wine can stop not only the spread of the toxin in his body, but it can also relieve his pain. However, you need to look after him if I'm not here in Lu Yun Kingdom in the future. Don't ever let him use his spiritual power. If he ever uses it, the toxin in his body will spread even faster. This is why I did not let my father fight Lu Yunxiao." His condition now doesn't allow him to fight anybody. Master Nayland was stunned. Then, he smiled bitterly. But, how long can he drink this jar of spirit wine? Grandpa, don't you worry. I have a supply of spirit wine. We can have as much as we want. Master Nayland was shocked beyond words. This spirit wine is unlimited? Isn't that too luxurious? Chinger, just be frank with me. How did you get all these spirit wines? Master Nayland was serious as he asked Feng Ruching solemnly. Feng Ruching did not mean to tell others about her abilities. But she could not hide it anymore because of Feng Tianyu's illness. Actually, Grandpa must have heard of my ability to brew herbal dish. One day, I tried and changed the prescription of the herbal dish, and then it became spirit wine. Master Nayland was so shocked that he remained silent. That spirit wine was brewed by Feng Ruching? How much was Feng Ruching concealing? Chinger, don't you ever tell anybody about your ability to brew spirit wine. Master Nayland looked even more serious and solemn now. Not even Zhang Qian and Jinger. Feng Ruching raised her eyebrows in shock. Why? I do not intend to conceal anything from my grandpa and my uncle. But, Grandpa, of course, he would not tell Feng Ruching about the incident where Nayland Zhangqian had spread the news of me having the spirit wine. He wanted to punish Nayland Zhangqian for doing such a thing. What about Jinger? He might tell Nayland Zhangqian about this. So, he would prevent all the possibilities of him learning about this. You just listen to me. Zhangqian only cares about the Qin family now. If you let him know about this, surely the people in the Qin family would know about this too. Then, maybe the three great families would know about this. This is all for your own good. Master Nayland said this seriously. In fact, Nayland Zhangqian knew how to handle things properly. He spread the news because he wanted to take revenge on Master Nayland's stinginess. If he learned about Feng Ruching's ability to brew spirit wine, he would surely keep it a secret because it mattered a lot. Who knew that Master Nayland would hold grudges like this? Consequently, Nayland Zhangqian was the last to know about this. When he learned about this and the reason behind its concealment, he nearly threw a tantrum in the Nayland family. Ah, that is why. Feng Ruching understood, and she was relieved. Luckily, my uncle did not know that the divine spirit fruit in Dyer's hands was actually given by me. If he ever spread about this, he'll be in great trouble. Is the divine spirit fruit yours? It seems that I've said a lot. Master Nayland's eyes narrowed. You're the vendor we talked about? Feng Ruching smiled slightly. Should I admit it? Chinger, you see, I've almost finished my spirit wine. Master Nayland smiled and looked at Feng Ruching. Shouldn't you give me a new jar of spirit wine? At first, Master Nayland thought that it was a precious jar of spirit wine, so he could not accept it. But now that he knew of its unlimited supply, surely he would not reject it anymore. Chapter 181. Just let Fuchin take a bite. Yes, of course. They'll give you a jar of spirit wine. If my uncle asks about the origin of the spirit wine, how would you answer him? Oh, that's easy. They'll just tell him that I bought it from a vendor. He would not be able to tell whether I'm lying or telling the truth because of his intelligence. Master Nayland was serious. It seemed that the word vendor was overused. By the way, you just give the spirit wine to His Majesty. If you have any extra spirit wine, then only you give it to me. Do you understand? His Majesty's health is the most important thing. Master Nayland was anxious, and he warned Feng Ruching. Don't worry. It'll be enough. Feng Ruching's eyes narrowed. Don't tell anybody of my father's illness. Not even he himself. My father intends to die. If he knows about this, he'll surely go ahead with it. They'll not be able to save him then, even if I have strong power. Chinger, what poison is that? Master Nayland frowned. Clear heart poison. Clear heart poison? Master Nayland was stunned for a while. I have not heard of it before. Clear heart poison. If anybody is poisoned with this poison, it'll spread in the person's body in a few months and he will die. If the person has a relationship with a woman, the person will die on the spot. It seems that my father was poisoned after my mother was pregnant. Master Nayland was shocked. It seemed that he had just met Feng Ruching for the first time, and he looked at her without uttering a word. When did Chinger become so knowledgeable? Whoever who is poisoned must live with a pure heart and without any desire, only then can he stop the spread of the poison. It could be stopped with some tactics too. But if that person has unsettled emotions, the poison cannot be stopped. However, there's somebody who is helping my father. Even if it does spread again, it wouldn't be soon. So, my father's illness is related to my mother's death. Her death had made my father so devastated that the poison could not be stopped. If that person who is helping him was not powerful, my father would not have been able to live until now. Moreover, Feng Ruching stopped for a while before she continued talking. No matter what you do, those suffering from this poison must not have relationships with other people. If not, hell die. Master Nalen was so shocked that his eyes widened in disbelief. Noble consort Rong was soon pregnant after the death of the Empress, a year later. That's the first woman His Majesty had had after the death of the Empress. Master Nalen was quite angry with His Majesty at that time, because the Empress had just passed away. However, he soon forgave His Majesty because His Majesty did not bother about noble consort Rong and her daughter. But who knew? Feng Ruching was bought over by noble consort Rong. I was infuriated. Qinger, are you sure about this? Was His Majesty poisoned when Yenner was pregnant? Are you sure His Majesty was not poisoned after noble consort Rong's pregnancy? Feng Ruching smiled softly. If my mother was not dead, the poison would not spread. If you don't believe me, you can go ahead and ask my father about the time when he started to feel discomfort in his body. Furthermore, I can easily tell the time when he was poisoned since I can tell what kind of poison was that. Feng Ruching's words made a lot of sense. Master Nalen then kept silent. They'll surely believe what my granddaughter said. It means that, Feng Rushuang Grandpa, don't spread this. If others know about this, the people who are hiding will surely be more careful. Then, they'll not be able to investigate it anymore. There was a coldness in Feng Ruching's eyes. Moreover, they'll tell only you about this. They'll not even tell my uncle. Chapter 182. Just let Fu Chun take a bite too. Master Nalan's lips twitched. He sighed in relief. If that's the case, His Majesty did not let Yenner down. Yenner had just passed away. After a year, His Majesty committed such a mistake. Yenner was always so proud. Surely, she could not endure this kind of thing. If she got to know about this, how sad would she be? Luckily, His Majesty did not let her down. It is His Majesty's business that His Majesty does not have an empress anymore. But I didn't know that His Majesty will never remarry in his remaining lifetime. If His Majesty meets any good and gentle woman, I do hope that His Majesty can forget the past and be happy again. His Majesty should have waited for 3 to 5 years. But His Majesty had done this kind of thing just after a year. How can I stay calm about this? What you thought might be right. My father was tricked. Feng Ruching bit her lip, and there was coldness in her eyes. Grandpa, don't worry about it first. They'll order somebody to go and investigate it. No one can hurt my father. Master Nalen opened his mouth, intending to say something, but he stopped and nodded. Okay, we'll trust your ability. Qinger is all grown up now. She can take care of things on her own now. They'll not worry about her now. The time is late now. You can go back now. Don't let my uncle worry about you. There was no more coldness in Feng Ruching's eyes now. She smiled. Master Nalen sighed. Qinger, don't forget to come and visit me when you're free. I will. Master Nalen left Feng Ruching reluctantly. He did not notice Feng Ruching kicking the stones near her after he left. Then, she too left the palace. There are too many spies in this palace. I have made the formation just now because I didn't want anyone eavesdropping on our conversation. Of course, I have tricked Fu Chun into teaching me this formation. She had tricked all the precious treasures in Fu Chin's hands from him. But what was in Fu Chin's head could be used too. The grass was green and it stood still. Fu Qian hid his body among the bushes. He raised his head and looked at the shining sun in the sky. His beautiful face was all sadness. Brother Fu Chun, come and eat a little. Qing Han pulled up a handful of grass and put it in front of Fu Chun. Her eyes were big, bright, and cute. She blinked. I do not want to. Qing Han grunted. My pride tells me that I'll never eat grass even if I were to die of hunger. But Qing Han bit her lip and sighed. If we don't have the grade 3 spirit herbs, other spirit herbs are just grass to us. What she said was indeed true. Feng Ruching saw two beautiful creatures eating grass when she appeared. Those two creatures felt her presence and raised their heads. They looked at Feng Ruching sadly. There was dirt on the corners of their lips. It looked like they were two beggars who were hungry for so long. It was pitiful. Feng Ruching did not know what to say. Was I too cruel just because I wanted to save some money? Feng Ruching coughed a little after sensing their pitiful gazes. It was awkward. I have bought some grade 3 spirit herbs today at the spirit herb shop, Paramount. Fu Chun was breathing hard now. There were tears in his eyes. Chapter 183. Just let Fu Chun take a bite. 3. Finally, Feng Ruching, their guardian, had thought about them. She realized that they were hungry. It was not easy. It was indeed not easy. I can buy grade 3 spirit herbs at Paramount with my Paramount token, but there are not many grade 3 spirit herbs there. Moreover, every grade 3 spirit herb is too expensive. So, I can't give you a lot of that. What I said was the truth. The spirit herb shop does not have much of what I need. If I want more of grade 3 spirit herbs, I need to look for it myself. What was more important was that they were just too expensive. Lu Yun Kingdom was not wealthy. Fu Chen hugged Feng Ruching's thigh with his face full of tears. Guardian, I'm hungry now. Just give me some of it so I can ease my hunger. All right. Feng Ruching sighed. She needed the spirit herbs in her hand. So, she just took out a 7-leaf flower and carefully plucked a piece of leaf from its stem for Fu Chen and another for Qing Han. Fu Chen's eyes widened in shock. Only this much? Feng Ruching saw Fu Chen's dissatisfaction. Her face darkened. If you don't want it, just give it back to me. I want it. Of course, I want it. Fu Chen was afraid that Feng Ruching would take it back, so he quickly gobbled it up. But Fu Chen could not taste it well because there was simply too little of it. Even so, Fu Chen could feel that its strength was slowly returning to him when his body absorbed the spirit herb. How does one describe it? If his previous power was like a deep and wide ocean, this spirit leaf had just helped it recover only a ladle of water. But even a ladle of water made Fu Chen so excited. Qing Han was more graceful eating the spirit leaf. Her small mouth gently took a bite of it. She smiled when she tasted and absorbed the leaf's juice. Yummy. It's too delicious. It's been 1,000 years since I've tasted such good taste. Feng Ruching looked at Qing Han. She was struggling. After considering for a while, she picked another leaf and gave it to Qing Han. Fu Chen was patting his belly when he saw what Feng Ruching did. He stopped and stared. After a moment, he said angrily, Guardian, how unfair you are. Why has Qing Han gotten 2 leaves when I only got 1? Feng Ruching looked at Fu Chen coldly. Qing Han is a girl. Gender discrimination? She's more obedient than you. Aren't I obedient too? Have you forgotten that you've tricked me into giving you all the things you have in your hands? Moreover, what did you call me on the first day we met? Oh, that's right. The herb slave. This. Qing Han called you that too, and you just did not hear it. You're being unfair. Fu Chen was angry, but he looked quite cute with that wronged face. It was so cute that Feng Ruching wanted to spank him again. Feng Ruching soon suppressed the desire. She smiled and looked at Qing Han, who was eating happily. Qing Han ate the spirit leaf gracefully and slowly. Compared to Fu Chen, who gobbled the spirit herb just now, the sight of Qing Han eating the spirit leaf was really beautiful. Guardian, did somebody bully you today? Qing Han finished eating, and she felt that her strength was slowly returning to her. She came up to Feng Ruching. She wrapped her arms around Feng Ruching's thigh and looked at Feng Ruching with her 2 large eyes. When I can leave this place with Brother Fu Chen next time, I'll teach them a lesson for you. Feng Ruching raised her eyebrows. Aren't you afraid of me? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.